Maybe if I just text her one more time, she'll finally understand how much I care. That thought creeps in late at night when your chest is tight and your mind is spinning. You replay the moments you shared, the laughs, the softness in her voice, the way she once looked at you like you mattered. You tell yourself you just want closure or maybe just a chance to fix what went wrong. But let's be honest, deep down you're hoping that one message will bring her back. You think if you can just say the right thing, maybe she'll realize what she's walking away from. That's the trap. What you're really chasing isn't her, it's the version of her from before she pulled away. You're chasing the memory, not the reality. And every time you reach out, you're not fixing anything. You're just handing her more power. Because when someone knows you'll always be there, no matter how they treat you, they stop valuing you. The more you chase, the more you teach her that she doesn't need to earn your presence. You've already given it away for free. That's not love. That's fear disguised as loyalty. Resisting that urge to text isn't about playing games. It's about choosing self-respect over desperation. It's about pausing long enough to ask, if she really wanted to talk, wouldn't she have already? When you go silent, you're not giving up, you're giving her space to show her true intentions. And more importantly, you're giving yourself space to reconnect with reality. Not the version in your head, but the one in front of you. The one where someone who truly cared would never leave you guessing. The one where the right woman doesn't need convincing, she just chooses you. Silence isn't just the absence of noise, it's the presence of truth. When you stop texting her, when you stop trying to maintain the connection on your own, something powerful begins to happen. You create space. And that space doesn't stay empty for long, it reveals. It reveals where she stands, what she feels, and what kind of place you truly hold in her life. If your silence goes unnoticed, that says more than any message you could have sent. If she doesn't check in, doesn't wonder where you went, doesn't feel the shift in your energy, that tells you exactly how invested she was. No reply is a reply. No action is an action. You've probably been carrying the weight of the relationship, thinking that if you just keep showing up, it'll somehow bring her closer. But showing up for someone who won't meet you halfway only leaves you drained. When you finally stop reaching out, you're not punishing her, you're protecting yourself. You're giving her a chance to reveal her truth without pressure or prompting. You're letting her show you whether she cares without you constantly reminding her to. This is the part most people avoid because it hurts. That silence you give her might stretch on longer than you want. It might echo back with nothing. But in that quiet, you gain something vital, clarity. You stop guessing. You stop hoping for signs. You start seeing reality as it is, not as you wish it were. And sometimes that hurts. But it also sets you free. Because once you know the truth, whether she reaches out or doesn't, you can stop living in limbo. You can move forward not based on hope but on fact. And that kind of truth, though painful, is the foundation of real strength. Chasing always comes from a place of imbalance. The more you pursue someone who's pulling away, the more you send a message, not just to them but to yourself, that your worth depends on their approval. You may think you're showing loyalty, commitment, or emotional depth. But what it really looks like is desperation. And desperation kills attraction. Every unanswered message, every just checking in text, every late-night call that goes to voicemail chips away at the image of the man you were when she first noticed you. The confident, composed version of you begins to fade, replaced by someone who's trying too hard to be chosen. It's easy to confuse effort with value. You think, if I care enough, if I try hard enough, she'll see I'm worth keeping. But real value isn't something you prove with more effort. It's something you protect with boundaries. Because what's scarce is respected, and what's always available is taken for granted. The moment you stop chasing, you start communicating a different message. One that says, I know what I bring. I don't need to beg you to see it. That's when people start to reevaluate what they lost. Discipline is more attractive than words. Holding back, even when you want to reach out, shows emotional control. And that's rare. Most people can't handle discomfort without reacting. But if you can sit with the urge to chase and choose not to, you show strength. You show that your value doesn't fluctuate based on someone else's attention. And when you stop lowering yourself just to stay close to someone, you start rising again. You start being seen not as someone who can be pushed around emotionally, but as someone who knows their worth. That quiet confidence doesn't just shift how she sees you, it transforms how you see yourself. The energy you use chasing someone who's no longer showing up for you isn't just wasted, it's misdirected. Think about it. All those hours spent rereading old messages, checking if she's online, overanalyzing her last reply, none of it moves your life forward. None of it builds your future. That mental space you give away could be used to transform your body, stack your income, develop new skills, or even just get clarity on what you really want in a partner. You're not empty, you're just investing your energy in someone who's no longer investing in you. And here's the truth most men miss. The energy you pour into chasing doesn't disappear. It just sits there waiting to be redirected. Every time you think about texting her, that's fuel. Every time you replay a memory, that's momentum. But if you keep pouring it into someone who's slipping away, you lose the chance to pour it into yourself. You lose time. You lose focus. You lose power. But the second you stop giving her your energy, you get all of that back. And when that energy returns to you, you can use it to rebuild everything that fell apart while you were distracted. Your confidence. Your goals. Your peace. That's not just emotional healing, it's transformation. The pain of letting go? It fades. The gains from redirecting your energy? They last. You don't need to numb yourself. You need to realign. Let the silence you give her become the space where you build something stronger, yourself. Because the moment you stop feeding her indifference and start feeding your own growth, you stop being the guy waiting around, and start becoming the man who doesn't wait for anyone. And that's when everything in your life begins to shift. People don't value what they always have access to. When you're constantly texting her first, always checking in, always making sure she knows you're still there, she never has to wonder. There's no mystery, no curiosity, no room to feel your absence, because you never give her the chance. You've become predictable, and predictable doesn't spark attraction. The moment your presence fades, though, something changes. Silence breaks the routine. It creates a space that words never could. Suddenly, she's not hearing from you. No texts. No calls. No little reminders that you're still hanging on. And whether she admits it or not, that shift registers. She starts wondering, why isn't he reaching out? Did he move on? Did he lose interest? Is he seeing someone else? And those questions trigger something deeper. Curiosity, reflection, even regret. Not because you manipulated her, but because you finally stopped giving your attention freely. But make no mistake, the silence isn't about playing games. You're not trying to make her jealous or stir up insecurity. That's not the goal. The goal is self-respect. You're choosing not to beg for attention. You're showing, without needing to say it, that your time and presence are earned, not owed. That you are not someone to be taken for granted. Mystery doesn't mean being fake. It means having a life so full, so focused, that you're not available 24/7. It means being secure enough in yourself that you don't need to chase anyone to feel validated. And in that silence, you become unpredictable again. Not because you're playing hard to get, but because you've genuinely taken your energy back. That kind of mystery, born from strength, not strategy, is what reignites attraction. It's what makes people question letting you go. You're teaching people how to treat you every single day, not with your words but with your actions. When she starts pulling away and you respond by giving more, trying harder, texting again and again just to keep her attention, you're silently telling her, you can devalue me and I'll still stay. That sets the standard. You're saying your love comes with no boundaries, no requirements, no self-respect attached. And once someone sees they can treat you like an option without consequences, they will. Not because they're cruel, but because you showed them it was okay. Respect isn't something you ask for, it's something you command through behavior. When you stop chasing, you shift the dynamic. You're no longer feeding her lack of effort with more of your own. You're no longer rewarding silence with presence. Instead, you create a new standard. My energy is earned, not assumed. My attention is not free. I don't stay where I'm not appreciated. It's not about punishing her. It's about valuing yourself enough to walk away from one-sided connections. You don't need to yell, argue, or explain. Your silence says everything. I don't chase where I'm not valued. That line you draw, it's powerful. And the longer you stick to it, the more clearly people begin to see your worth. Not because you demanded it, but because you finally started acting like it matters. When you step back, you're not only teaching her how to treat you, you're reminding yourself. You're setting your own bar higher. You're saying, this is what I allow. This is how I deserve to be loved. And that clarity doesn't just protect you, it transforms you. Because once you raise your standard, the right people will rise to meet it. The wrong ones will fall away, and that's exactly how it should be. Right now, whether you realize it or not, she holds power over your emotions. One message from her can lift your entire mood. One moment of silence from her can ruin your whole day. That's not love, that's control. When your peace depends on someone else's attention, you've given away the most valuable thing you own, your emotional freedom. That's why silence isn't just a tactic, it's a turning point. When you stop chasing, you stop reacting. And when you stop reacting, you start reclaiming control. This shift isn't easy. At first, silence feels like weakness. Feels like you're doing nothing. But in reality, you're doing the most powerful thing you can. You're choosing yourself. You're deciding that you don't need a reply to feel okay. That your self-worth isn't tied to whether she reaches out or leaves you unread. And the moment you make that decision, something inside you changes. You stop living on emotional roller coasters built around her attention. You stop letting her presence, or absence, define your day. You start choosing what deserves your energy. You start focusing on what you can control, your mindset, your goals, your future. And with every day that passes in silence, you grow stronger. You begin to feel peace, not because she texted but because you no longer needed her to. That's the real win. You're not being cold. You're not being distant. You're being intentional. You're showing that your inner world is no longer up for grabs. And once you reach that level of emotional discipline, people feel it. She'll feel it. But more importantly, you will. You'll feel the difference between needing someone and choosing to stand on your own. That's when you finally stop being controlled and start being in control. There comes a point when you have to stop asking, will she come back? And start asking, why am I holding on to someone who let me go? That's when everything changes. A man who respects himself doesn't beg for love. He doesn't chase after someone who's already shown they can live without him. He knows that no matter how strong the feelings were, no matter how good the memories felt, if the respect is gone, it's not worth holding on to. Letting go isn't weakness, it's the beginning of power. When you stop chasing, you make space. Space for clarity. Space for healing. Space for someone better. Not necessarily someone more beautiful, more exciting, or more romantic, but someone who chooses you without being convinced. Someone who values you without needing reminders. That kind of love doesn't need to be chased. It arrives when you're whole enough to stop chasing the wrong kind. And here's the truth, if she truly wants to be in your life, she will come back. Not because you begged, but because your absence made her realize what she lost. But if she doesn't, you still win. You win because you didn't lose yourself in the process of trying to keep someone else. You stayed grounded. You kept your dignity. You proved to yourself that peace matters more than temporary attention. This is what it means to choose yourself. It's not about ego. It's about knowing you don't have to shrink to be loved. It's about rising above the noise, above the emotion, and saying, I deserve more than someone who isn't sure about me. That quiet decision, that inner shift, it doesn't just end a chapter. It starts a new one. One where you don't chase love. You attract it by becoming someone who doesn't need to.